Something is already moving that you cannot see yet. Long before the breakthrough shows up in your hands, a shift happens in the unseen. Before doors open, hinges are adjusted. Before chains fall, pressure is applied in places you never noticed. What you are calling a delay may actually be divine preparation. What you are calling silence may be God rearranging the system around your life. Your breakthrough does not begin when circumstances change. It begins when heaven shifts things on your behalf. Every major turnaround in Scripture started with a divine shift before it became a visible victory. Joseph did not wake up one morning and suddenly become prime minister. There was a shift in the heart of Pharaoh before there was a shift in Joseph's position. Moses did not just walk into freedom. There was a shift in the courage of a man who finally stood before Pharaoh. Esther did not save a nation by accident. There was a shift in timing, favor, and courage that aligned her moment with God's purpose. The breakthrough always follows the shift, never the other way around. A breakthrough never begins where people can see it. It always starts in a place that feels hidden, quiet, and often confusing. Before anything changes around you, something shifts behind the scenes. This is why many people misjudge their season. They look at what is visible and conclude that nothing is happening, when in reality, the most important work is already underway. God does not announce every move he makes. He prepares outcomes in private long before he reveals them in public. What you call waiting is often God working where your eyes cannot reach. In the unseen realm, God is arranging circumstances, softening hearts, moving obstacles, and adjusting timing. He is working on people you have not met yet, conversations you have not heard yet, and opportunities you have not imagined yet. Just because you cannot trace his hand does not mean you cannot trust his heart. Faith is not built on evidence. It is built on confidence that God is active, even when there is no visible proof. This is why breakthrough requires patience, because impatience is often rooted in the need to see something before believing it exists. Scripture consistently shows that visible victory is preceded by invisible preparation. Long before Joseph stood in authority, there was a silent shift in a prison, a dream remembered at the right moment, and a famine that positioned his gifting as the answer. None of these things looked like promotion when they were happening. They looked like delay, injustice, and isolation. But every unseen adjustment was moving him closer to a moment that would change his life. The breakthrough was real, but it was built quietly. This truth challenges the way people measure progress. Many assume that if doors are not opening, God must be absent. But often, closed doors are signs that God is still constructing what will eventually open smoothly. A door opened too early can crush you. A blessing released too soon can become a burden. God protects you by working invisibly until the structure is strong enough to support the breakthrough you are praying for. The unseen phase is also where trust is tested. It is easy to praise God when results are visible, but it takes mature faith to remain confident when nothing seems to change. This is the season where doubt whispers that your prayers are unanswered, that your efforts are wasted, and that your faith is misplaced. Yet this is precisely the moment when perseverance matters most. Quitting in the unseen season often means walking away just before the shift becomes visible. God uses the hidden phase to develop depth. He shapes character when no one is applauding. He refines motives when no one is watching. He teaches dependence when there are no quick solutions. This internal work is essential because breakthroughs do not just change circumstances, they expose the strength of what is inside you. If God revealed everything too soon, you might celebrate the outcome but miss the transformation. Another reason breakthroughs begin in the unseen is because God's work is often relational. He is aligning people, timing, and environments in ways that require cooperation across many lives. Some of your answers are delayed not because of denial, but because God is synchronizing events beyond your control. When everything finally comes together, it often happens quickly, but that speed is only possible because of the long, quiet preparation beforehand. In this hidden season, obedience becomes more important than understanding. You may not know why God is asking you to wait, to move, to let go, or to remain faithful in small things, but obedience during invisibility builds trust for visibility. Every step of faith taken without evidence strengthens your capacity to steward what is coming. God watches how you respond when there is no immediate reward, because that response reveals whether you are ready for greater responsibility. The unseen work of God also protects you from comparison. When he hides his process, he keeps you focused on your own assignment instead of measuring yourself against others. What he is doing in you is unique, and comparing your hidden season to someone else's highlight moment will only discourage you. Breakthrough is personal, and its unseen beginnings are tailored specifically to your calling. Eventually, what is hidden will be revealed. What is prepared in silence will speak loudly. When the breakthrough becomes visible, it will not feel rushed or forced. It will feel right. And when people ask how it happened so suddenly, you will know the truth. It was not sudden at all. It was the result of a divine shift that began long before anyone noticed. God does not rush outcomes the way people do. While human nature wants quick results, God is deeply invested in alignment. He understands that a breakthrough without proper alignment can damage more than it blesses. This is why, before changing circumstances, he works on foundations. He aligns character with calling, faith with responsibility, and desire with purpose. What looks like delay is often God ensuring that when the outcome arrives, it will stand firm and not collapse under its own weight. Alignment means that every part of your life is positioned to sustain what God is about to release. Many people pray for open doors without realizing that misalignment can turn opportunity into pressure. A promotion without maturity becomes overwhelming. Influence without wisdom becomes dangerous. Blessing without stewardship becomes loss. God sees the full picture, so he focuses on preparation before manifestation. He is not withholding good things. He is protecting you from receiving them too early. This is why God often begins his work internally. He adjusts attitudes, corrects motives, and exposes hidden weaknesses that could sabotage future success. These inner adjustments are not punishments. They are proofs of God's care. A loving God does not elevate you while leaving broken patterns untouched. He aligns your heart so that the breakthrough becomes a blessing instead of a burden. What he changes in you is just as important as what he gives to you. Alignment also involves positioning. God places you where your gift can function effectively and where your character can grow safely. Sometimes this means being hidden for a season. Other times it means being stretched beyond comfort. Both serve the same purpose, preparation. You may feel overlooked, but God is actually placing you where you can develop strength without pressure. When the moment comes, you will not be surprised by the weight of the breakthrough because alignment has already built capacity. Many people become frustrated because they mistake movement for progress. Being busy does not always mean being aligned. You can be active and still be out of position. God is less concerned with speed and more concerned with direction. One step taken in alignment is more powerful than many steps taken in anxiety. When alignment is right, progress may appear slow at first, but it becomes steady and sustainable. God also aligns relationships before releasing outcomes. He removes connections that cannot support your next level and introduces people who will challenge, sharpen, and strengthen you. This can feel painful, especially when familiar relationships change or fade. But alignment requires the right voices around you. Breakthrough is rarely achieved alone, and God ensures that the people around you are part of the solution, not the limitation. Timing is another critical part of alignment. A blessing released at the wrong time can create chaos. God's timing considers emotional readiness, spiritual maturity, and external conditions. He waits until all necessary elements are in place. What you see as slow progress is often divine precision. God is never late, and he is never careless. Every delay serves a purpose that will make sense later. Alignment also tests obedience. God may ask you to do things that seem unrelated to your prayers. He may instruct you to forgive when you want justice, to give when you feel lacking, or to stay when you want to run. These instructions are not random. They are adjustments that bring your life into harmony with what he is about to release. Obedience fine-tunes alignment and accelerates fulfillment. When alignment is complete, outcomes often unfold naturally. Doors open without struggle. Favor appears without manipulation. What once felt heavy becomes manageable. This is not because the breakthrough is small, but because you are ready. God's priority is not impressing you with speed, it is blessing you with stability. A properly aligned breakthrough produces peace, not chaos. In the end, God values longevity over excitement. He prefers a slow, well-built foundation to a quick, unstable victory. Alignment ensures that when the outcome arrives, it will not only change you, earth situation, but also strengthen your faith. What God prepares through alignment will outlast what impatience could never sustain. Discomfort is often misunderstood as failure, but in the kingdom of God, discomfort is frequently a sign of divine repositioning. When God is about to elevate your life, he rarely does it in a way that feels easy or familiar. Change comes with friction, and growth often comes with pressure. What feels unstable, confusing, or even painful is often the universe, or more precisely, the spiritual atmosphere, being rearranged to accommodate a greater purpose. Those who understand this principle recognize that discomfort is not the enemy of progress, it is the herald of preparation. Many people panic when they feel out of place. They see routines disrupted, relationships strained, or opportunities delayed and conclude that God has abandoned them or that the season is a mistake. Yet the truth is that God rarely moves you without shaking the old patterns that held you in place. If he elevates you without first causing some instability, you may find yourself unprepared for the new responsibility. The discomfort is not punishment. It is proof that the environment around you and inside you is changing to support the breakthrough that is coming. Throughout Scripture, we see that major breakthroughs are always preceded by seasons of discomfort. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before his rise to power. Moses faced years of exile before leading a nation to freedom. David fled danger, endured rejection, and faced constant opposition before becoming king. Each of these periods felt uncomfortable, but they were necessary. The discomfort tested faith, built resilience, and refined character. God's people often resist discomfort. Yet it is precisely in these moments that he is moving the most significant pieces behind the scenes. Discomfort also serves as a mirror, revealing what is misaligned in your life. When God shifts things, the old structures that no longer fit are exposed. You may realize that habits, relationships, or thought patterns that once seemed fine are now limiting your growth. The pressure is not arbitrary, it is diagnostic. God is highlighting the areas that need adjustment so that when the breakthrough comes, it can be embraced fully and sustainably. Ignoring discomfort often leads to stagnation or incomplete victories, while embracing it allows for transformation. Another aspect of discomfort is that it heightens dependence on God. When everything feels comfortable, people often rely on their own strength. But when uncertainty, challenge, or instability arises, faith becomes necessary. Prayer intensifies, trust deepens, and reliance on God grows stronger. Discomfort forces the believer to recognize that human control is limited and that divine intervention is essential. It is a reminder that the breakthrough is not the result of human effort alone, but of divine orchestration. Discomfort also strengthens resilience and endurance. Breakthrough often involves more than just reaching a goal. It involves sustaining success, navigating new responsibilities, and walking faithfully in the blessing. A season of ease may produce temporary gains, but it rarely produces the fortitude needed for long-term impact. By enduring discomfort, your capacity to handle pressure, criticism, and challenges increases. This resilience is part of the preparation that ensures your breakthrough is not fleeting, but lasting. At times, discomfort will involve letting go of things that are no longer serving you. God may remove people, opportunities, or comforts that cannot accompany you into your next season. While these losses can be painful, they are necessary for repositioning. Holding on to the familiar may feel safe, but it can prevent you from stepping fully into what God has prepared. Recognizing that discomfort often signals divine pruning can help you release what must go in order to receive what is coming. Discomfort can also sharpen clarity. In the middle of a shifting season, priorities become clearer, vision becomes sharper, and your focus becomes more precise. What once seemed blurry now begins to make sense. You see who you are, what you are capable of, and what you truly need to achieve your destiny. In other words, the disturbance in your environment acts as a refining lens, aligning your perspective with God's purpose. Ultimately, discomfort is the precursor to freedom, growth, and breakthrough. It is not a sign that God has abandoned you, nor does it indicate failure. It is a spiritual signal that change is underway and that you are being prepared for something greater. When you embrace discomfort, you learn patience, perseverance, and faith in unseen work. You begin to understand that progress is not measured by comfort, but by alignment with God's timing and purpose. Your response to discomfort determines how quickly and fully you experience the breakthrough. Those who resist it may prolong the process or miss opportunities entirely. Those who embrace it as art of divine repositioning, find that doors open, favor is released, and victory manifests more fully than they imagined. Discomfort is not the opposite of blessing, it is the gateway to it. Recognizing it, trusting God through it, and walking faithfully in it ensures that your breakthrough is not only inevitable, but also lasting and transformative. When the discomfort ends, it will often be replaced by clarity, favor, and momentum. What once seemed unsettling will now feel like divine orchestration. You will look back and see that every moment of pressure, every period of confusion, and every challenge was a necessary step in God's plan. Your breakthrough does not ignore the discomfort. It is built on it, strengthened by it, and validated through it. The season of unease is the silent foundation for a visible and lasting victory. When God is about to elevate your life, he rarely begins with circumstances. He begins with transformation within you. External breakthroughs without internal growth are often fragile, temporary, or even destructive. God's priority is not just to change your situation, but to change you so that you can handle the breakthrough responsibly and effectively. He works on your character, your mindset, and your spiritual maturity before he moves in the physical realm. This internal preparation is essential because what is inside you determines how you respond to what comes outside. Transformation begins with perspective. God shifts the way you see yourself, the way you see him, and the way you view your circumstances. Many people pray for change without realizing that they are carrying old beliefs, limiting thoughts, or false identities that will hinder their progress. If the internal landscape is not transformed, the external change may not have the desired effect. God adjusts your vision so that when the breakthrough occurs, you recognize it, steward it well, and use it for the purpose he intended. Faith is also strengthened during internal transformation. When God works within, he teaches you to trust him without immediate evidence. The internal shift is about learning to rely on his timing, his wisdom, and his provision, even when results are delayed. Faith is not merely believing God will act, it is believing in God's character during seasons when nothing seems to move. Internal growth ensures that your faith is rooted in him, not in temporary circumstances or human solutions, making your breakthrough sustainable. Another critical aspect of internal transformation is the alignment of motives. God examines your desires and intentions, ensuring that what you seek aligns with his purpose. External success or breakthrough without the right motives can lead to pride, misuse, or spiritual compromise. Transformation is about purifying the heart so that your ambitions, actions, and responses flow from obedience, integrity, and love rather than selfishness or convenience. This alignment protects the breakthrough and multiplies its impact for you and others. God also works on patience and perseverance during internal transformation. Human impatience often leads to hasty decisions, shortcuts, or compromise, which can sabotage potential breakthroughs. Internal growth develops endurance, teaching you to wait on God, to navigate delays without frustration, and to persist through challenges. Patience is not passive. It is active faith that trusts God's timing while preparing for his provision. Through this process, you are equipped to handle the breakthrough without being overwhelmed or misusing it. Character refinement is another essential element of internal transformation. God uses testing, challenges, and even opposition to develop qualities such as humility, resilience, courage, and wisdom. The pressure you feel is often a tool to shape your response, ensuring that you do not only achieve success, but also maintain integrity and wisdom in the process. The stronger your character, the more effective and lasting your breakthrough will be. External success without character can lead to pride, compromise, or eventual loss, but internal growth provides a foundation that withstands any challenge. Internal transformation also prepares you to influence others. God's breakthroughs are rarely solely personal. They are meant to impact communities, families, and nations. He shapes your heart, refines your understanding, and develops empathy so that when you step into blessing, you can lead, guide, and inspire others. Transformation ensures that your breakthrough becomes a testimony that uplifts, encourages, and directs others toward God, rather than being merely a personal gain. Moreover, God often uses internal transformation to release spiritual authority. As you grow internally, your capacity to handle spiritual responsibility increases. Understanding God's ways, discerning his direction, and exercising wisdom all require internal readiness. The breakthrough you desire is not simply a material or external gain. It carries spiritual influence that must be stewarded properly. Internal preparat. Ion ensures that you are equipped to receive and sustain this influence without being misled, overwhelmed, or disconnected from God's purpose. One of the most important aspects of this internal work is learning to maintain peace and gratitude in every stage. While waiting, facing obstacles, or experiencing discomfort, internal transformation teaches contentment, trust, and praise. This inner stability allows you to navigate the transition with confidence and joy, preventing discouragement or anxiety from disrupting your journey. When your heart is settled internally, external breakthroughs are met with wisdom, clarity, and faith rather than panic or fear. Internal transformation also shapes your vision and understanding of destiny. God begins to reveal your unique path, your calling, and your purpose during this season. You start to see what aligns with his will and what does not. The clarity gained internally helps you make decisions that support long-term success and spiritual fulfillment. It also ensures that your breakthrough is not wasted on pursuits that are temporary or misaligned. Ultimately, external breakthroughs are only as strong as the internal foundation that supports them. God's priority in internal transformation is to equip you with the mindset, character, faith, and vision necessary to walk in victory sustainably. Without this work, breakthroughs can be fleeting, unmanageable, or even harmful. But when God shapes you from the inside out, your breakthrough becomes an extension of your growth, a reflection of your faithfulness, and a testimony of his wisdom. The shift within is often invisible at first. It may involve subtle changes in thought pattern, attitudes, or responses to challenges. It may require breaking habits, releasing pride, or confronting fear. These internal adjustments may not feel dramatic, but they are foundational. When the breakthrough arrives, you will realize that God was working more profoundly inside you than outside you, and that the external manifestation is merely the visible evidence of the transformation he completed internally. Internal growth ensures that your breakthrough is not only achieved, but sustained, fruitful, and aligned with God's eternal purpose. It prepares you to receive God's blessing with gratitude, wisdom, and stewardship, enabling you to impact your world positively. God's shift within you is the cornerstone for every external victory. Without it, success is fragile. But with it, breakthrough becomes inevitable, powerful, and lasting. Resistance is a natural companion to every divine shift, and understanding it is critical for anyone seeking breakthrough. The moment God begins to move on your behalf, the forces that have kept you in the same place often react. Fear rises, doubt whispers, and obstacles seem to increase. This resistance is not a sign that you are failing or that God has abandoned you. Rather, it is confirmation that a shift is already in motion. The enemy knows that when God is realigning your life, your territory is about to change, and resistance is his attempt to delay, distract, or derail the process. Resistance can manifest in many ways. It may appear as internal conflict, fear, anxiety, or insecurity that makes you question your purpose. It can show up externally through opposition from people, circumstances, or unexpected setbacks. Sometimes it is subtle, in the form of distractions, delays, or repeated challenges that test your patience. Whatever form it takes, resistance is not random. It is often a direct response to the divine shift happening in your life. Those who recognize this see resistance not as punishment, but as evidence that God is rearranging forces in their favor. One of the most dangerous ways people respond to resistance is by giving up too early. When fear becomes louder than faith, or when obstacles seem overwhelming, many retreat to comfort zones or abandon their calling altogether. But resistance often appears just before a breakthrough. The testing intensifies at the moment when persistence matters most. Those who endure, those who push through despite opposition, often find that the breakthrough follows immediately after the hardest season. Resistance, in this sense, serves as a refining tool, separating temporary faith from steadfast commitment. Resistance also reveals the areas of weakness that require strengthening before a breakthrough can be fully realized. Internal fears and doubts exposed during this time are opportunities for growth. External opposition highlights where greater wisdom, preparation, or alignment is necessary. Rather than seeing resistance as an enemy to be eliminated at all costs, it should be viewed as a teacher. The lessons learned while facing opposition are invaluable. They build endurance, character, and discernment, all of which are essential to sustaining the breakthrough once it manifests. Spiritual maturity is tested through resistance. God often allows opposition to gauge your readiness for what is coming. Are you dependent on Him or on human strateg? ES? Are you patient or impulsive? Are you humble or prideful? Resistance exposes the heart, showing whether you are prepared to steward the breakthrough faithfully. Those who respond with faith, perseverance, and obedience demonstrate that they are ready for greater responsibility. Those who respond with fear, compromise, or discouragement reveal areas that require further internal alignment before the divine shift can fully take effect. Resistance also strengthens your faith in the unseen. The divine shift is often invisible at first, and the obstacles that arise test whether you truly trust God's timing and plan. It is easy to believe in God when everything is smooth, but faith is proven when circumstances are contrary. Each time you face resistance and choose to continue in trust and obedience, your faith is strengthened. This growing faith not only sustains you through the current shift, but also equips you to handle future seasons of opposition without losing hope or direction. Another aspect of resistance is that it often comes through unexpected channels. Sometimes the opposition comes from those closest to you, people you trust, or situations you rely on. This can be confusing and painful, but it is part of the divine process. God sometimes allows these challenges to appear so that you learn to trust Him above all else. When human support falters or circumstances seem unfavorable, faith becomes anchored in God alone. Resistance in this way redirects reliance from the temporary to the eternal, preparing you for a breakthrough that is not dependent on people or circumstances, but on divine provision. Resistance also sharpens focus. When everything is easy, it is tempting to become distracted or complacent. Opposition, however, demands clarity of purpose and vision. It forces you to evaluate priorities, refine strategies, and eliminate anything that is not aligned with your calling. The pressure of resistance often creates a heightened awareness of what truly matters, preparing you to receive the breakthrough with intention and discernment. Those who navigate resistance with wisdom emerge not only victorious, but also sharper, more focused, and better equipped for future challenges. Finally, resistance reminds you that breakthroughs are not purely human accomplishments. They are divine. If every step were easy, it would be tempting to attribute success solely to personal effort, skill, or intellect. Opposition highlights the supernatural nature of God's work. When breakthrough comes despite resistance, it becomes clear that victory was not earned through struggle alone, but was orchestrated by divine intervention. The struggle magnifies the miracle, making the testimony more powerful and inspiring to others. In conclusion, resistance is not a sign that the shift has failed. It is confirmation that it is real. The harder the opposition, the closer you may be to the breakthrough. By understanding resistance as a natural and even necessary part of divine shifts, you can face fear with faith, endure trials with perseverance, and trust God even when circumstances seem contrary. Those who recognize the purpose behind resistance, who respond with courage, patience, and obedience, position themselves to receive the breakthrough fully, prepared to steward it wisely, and to walk into the victory that God has long been orchestrating behind His scenes. Resistance is not the end of the story. It is the bridge to a testimony, a marker that your breakthrough is nearer than it appears. Divine shifts rarely come with full explanations. God works in ways that are often hidden from human understanding, and He rarely reveals the entire plan all at once. Instead, He asks for trust and obedience in the midst of uncertainty. Obedience before clarity is one of the most essential principles for anyone seeking breakthrough. Many people wait for a sign, a perfect moment, or complete understanding before taking action, but faith requires movement even when the path is not fully illuminated. God calls His children to step forward based on His leading, trusting that the unseen guidance is sufficient for every step. Obedience before clarity is a test of faith. It measures whether your trust in God is rooted in His character rather than the visible circumstances. Waiting for everything to make sense is human, but walking in obedience, despite not knowing the outcome, is divine. This principle is illustrated throughout Scripture. Abraham did not fully understand where he was going when he left Ur. Moses did not know how God would deliver Israel, yet he obeyed the call to confront Pharaoh. Esther did not know how her actions would save her people, but she obeyed the prompting to approach the king. In each case, obedience preceded clarity, and it became the pathway to breakthrough. Many people fail to experience divine shifts because they insist on understanding the entire process before acting. They want to see the full picture, calculate the risks, and control every variable. While preparation has its place, overanalysis can hinder the activation of God's promises. God rarely provides full visibility because faith is intended to develop trust. If the path were entirely clear, faith would not be necessary. By asking you to move without full clarity, God strengthens your reliance on him rather than your own understanding. Obedience activates opportunities that clarity alone cannot produce. A door may appear closed to human eyes, but when you obey God's instructions, that door can open in ways that defy logic. Opportunities often require action before they are fully visible. Waiting for perfect conditions can lead to stagnation, but acting in faith aligns you with God's timing. Obedience is the mechanism that transforms unseen shifts into tangible breakthroughs. Without it, the shift remains hidden, even if God is already moving in your favor. Following God's guidance without complete understanding also protects you from premature exposure to challenges. If every detail were revealed, you might attempt to take matters into your own hands or approach situations with incomplete preparation. Obedience before clarity ensures that you move only as far as God intends, preserving both your progress and your safety. The unseen work that God orchestrates is delicate, and rushing ahead without his direction can compromise the alignment he has carefully established. Obedience also trains patience and humility. It requires recognizing that you do not need to control every outcome. When clarity is withheld, pride is challenged, and dependence on God is strengthened. This period of partial revelation is a season of growth, refining character and faith. By obeying without seeing the full picture, you learn trust God's wisdom over your own instincts. And this trust becomes the foundation for sustaining future breakthroughs. The process of obeying before clarity also strengthens discernment. As you take steps in faith, you become more sensitive to God's leading. You learn to recognize his voice, differentiate between his guidance and distractions, and act decisively when prompted. Each obedient step, even in uncertainty, refines your spiritual perception and equips you to navigate more complex challenges in the future. In this way, obedience is both a response to the shift and a preparation for it. Obedience before clarity requires courage. Human nature fears the unknown, and it is tempting to wait until all risks are minimized. Yet divine shifts often involve stepping into uncertainty. Courage does not mean absence of fear. It means moving forward despite fear, trusting that God's presence is sufficient. Each act of courage and obedience strengthens faith, builds confidence in God's guidance, and positions you to receive the breakthrough that the shift is preparing. Another important aspect of this principle is that God often provides confirmation only after obedience begins. The first step of faith can unlock revelation, clarity, and favor that were previously hidden. Waiting for a perfect roadmap often prevents these confirmations from arriving because revelation flows in response to movement. God rewards action, and the shift begins to manifest in tangible ways once obedience activates the process. Obedience before clarity also cultivates resilience. Life is full of uncertainty, and divine shifts rarely occur in perfectly predictable environments. By learning to see God, while moving through the unknown, you build endurance, patience, and perseverance. These qualities are essential for sustaining breakthroughs once they arrive, as every new level of favor or responsibility carries challenges that require faith and wisdom. Finally, obeying before clarity honors God's authority and timing. It acknowledges that he sees the full picture while you see only a portion. It demonstrates humility and surrender, signaling that your life is not governed solely by human understanding, but by divine purpose. Obedience aligns you with the unseen shift, allowing God to orchestrate events perfectly for your breakthrough. By stepping forward in faith, you activate the momentum of the divine shift, even before the outcome becomes fully visible. In essence, obedience before clarity is the bridge between the invisible work of God and the visible manifestation of breakthrough. It transforms unseen alignment into tangible results, strengthens faith, builds character, and prepares you for the responsibilities and challenges that accompany the victory. Those who embrace this principle discover that clarity often follows action, favor is released through faith, and the divine shift becomes fully visible as they continue to walk in trust and obedience. Faith without movement may admire the promise from afar, but breakthrough requires stepping forward even when the way is not yet clear. Divine shifts often involve changes in relationships, and one of the most challenging aspects of spiritual growth is learning to let go of what no longer fits. God sometimes removes people from your life who cannot accompany you into the next season. This is not a reflective ion of their value or your lack of love, but a matter of alignment. Certain relationships, friendships, or partnerships serve a purpose for a particular chapter, but if they remain beyond their intended season, they can hinder your progress and interfere with the breakthrough that God is orchestrating. Recognizing this principle is essential for embracing the shifts that lead to lasting victory. Change in relationships can be painful because human bonds are emotional and deeply ingrained. We naturally resist loss, even when it is necessary for growth. God, however, operates from a perspective of ultimate wisdom. He understands the roles people play in your life and the impact of maintaining connections that no longer align with your calling. When He removes someone, it is often to protect you from compromise, distraction, or delay. Trusting God's hand in these situations allows you to release what is not meant to accompany your future while remaining grateful for the lessons and support those individuals provided in previous seasons. Divine shifts also introduce new relationships at the right time. Just as God removes those who no longer align, He strategically positions new connections that are essential for your growth, influence, and success. These individuals can provide guidance, open doors, challenge you to be better, or help you navigate the responsibilities of your breakthrough. Often, these new relationships come unexpectedly, from people you may not have considered or even noticed before. The divine shift aligns your social and spiritual environment so that your breakthrough is supported and sustained. It is important to understand that God's timing in relata on ships is perfect. Sometimes the absence of a certain person or the delay in meeting a new mentor or partner can feel frustrating, yet divine shifts are always coordinated according to purpose and readiness. The right people will appear when you are prepared to maximize the opportunity. Premature attachments or forced connections can lead to distraction or conflict, while waiting for God's timing ensures alignment and harmony in your journey. Letting go of relationships requires faith and discernment. It is not merely about losing contact with someone. It is about trusting that God is replacing what is not aligned with what is essential. This process tests your obedience, humility, and spiritual maturity. It challenges you to prioritize God's will over personal comfort or emotional attachment. While it can feel lonely or uncertain, those who embrace God's guidance during relational shifts find that new doors open, new networks emerge, and greater favor flows through connections aligned with divine purpose. Divine shifts in relationships also highlight the importance of boundaries. God may remove certain people to teach you the value of protecting your time, energy, and focus. Breakthrough requires clarity of vision, strategic positioning, and emotional stability. People who drain your energy, distract from your purpose, or encourage compromise are often removed during these shifts so that you can operate with freedom, focus, and authority. Setting healthy boundaries ensures that the relationships that remain are supportive, empowering, and aligned with God's plan. Spiritual discernment becomes critical during these seasons. Not every relationship is meant to end, and not every new connection is divinely appointed. Prayer, reflection, and sensitivity to God's guidance help you recognize which relationships to release and which to nurture. Discernment protects you from both clinging to past attachments that hinder progress and prematurely embracing connections that are not yet ready to serve your purpose. A divine shift requires wisdom in both releasing and receiving relationships to maintain alignment with God's plan. Change in relationships often comes with emotional testing. You may experience grief, confusion, or even anger. It is normal to feel discomfort, yet these emotions are part of the refining process. God uses these experiences to teach reliance on Him rather than on human support. When relationships change, you learn to trust in God's provision, guidance, and protection above all else. Emotional resilience developed in these seasons strengthens faith, preparing you for the responsibilities and challenges of your breakthrough. The shift in relationships also prepares you to lead and influence others effectively. When God positions new people around you, He is often equipping you for expanded responsibility. The right mentors, partners, and team members provide wisdom, accountability, and encouragement. They amplify your impact and help you steward the breakthrough responsibly. Conversely, those who are not aligned with the shift can limit influence, create conflict, or distract from the vision. The careful orchestration of relationships ensures that your breakthrough is sustainable and powerful. Divine shifts in relationships teach the principle of stewardship. Just as God entrusts you with opportunities, He entrusts you with people who are meant to be part of your journey. You are called to nurture and honor these connections while maintaining discernment and alignment. Relationships are not disposable, but neither are they permanent if they no longer serve God's purpose for your life. Understanding this principle allows you to release with grace and embrace new relationships with clarity and faith. Ultimately, the shifting of relationships is part of God's larger strategy for breakthrough. Every person who exits and every new individual who enters is placed according to divine wisdom. The removal of some relationships creates space for alignment, growth, and expanded influence. The introduction of others strengthens your capacity to receive, steward, and multiply the breakthrough that God has been preparing behind the scenes. Trusting this process requires faith, obedience, and discernment, knowing that God's hand is always orchestrating the connections you need for His perfect timing. In conclusion, God's work in relationships is essential to the divine shift. Those who resist letting go may miss their breakthrough, while those who trust and release what is no longer aligned position themselves for favor, alignment, and growth. Relationships are both tools and tests in the journey toward breakthrough. By understanding their strategic role, embracing change with faith, and remaining open to God's orchestration, you ensure that your breakthrough is not only achieved, but fully supported and sustainable, flowing through relationships that are designed to bless, challenge, and elevate you in alignment with His purpose. Breakthrough is never meant to be purely personal. It is designed to impact others through you. One of the most profound principles of divine shifts is that God moves not only to bless your life, but to position you as a conduit of blessing for those around you. When your breakthrough arrives, it carries a responsibility and a purpose beyond immediate personal gain. The favor, insight, and opportunities that accompany your shift are not solely for comfort or achievement. They are intended to influence, inspire, and uplift others in alignment with God's larger plan. Many people approach breakthrough with a mindset of self-focus. They pray for success, prosperity, or promotion without considering the ripple effect their victory can have on others. God, however, works differently. He designs breakthroughs with a broader vision in mind. Every increase, every shift in position, every open door is meant to be leveraged for kingdom purposes or for the benefit of people whose lives intersect with yours. Understanding this principle transforms the way you view success. It shifts focus from accumulation to contribution. Divine shifts prepare you to carry the responsibility that comes with influence. When God positions you for breakthrough, He simultaneously equips you with wisdom, character, and discernment so that your actions positively affect others. Without preparation, blessings can become burdens, opportunities can become pitfalls, and influence can become destructive. God ensures that internal alignment, maturity, and understanding precede external favor so that when the breakthrough manifests, it is not wasted but multiplied through service, mentorship, and leadership. Breakthroughs designed to impact others often involve relational, financial, or spiritual dimensions. Favor may be released in a way that allows you to help someone else advance. Opportunities may emerge that enable you to guide or protect those in need. Insights or revelations may come to position you as a source of wisdom, encouragement, or direction. God's divine shift is strategic. He not only elevates your life, but situates you in environments where your breakthrough can have a broader influence, shaping communities, organizations, or even generations. One reason many breakthroughs are fleeting or unfulfilling is that they are approached selfishly. When the focus is only on personal gain, The impact is limited and the growth incomplete. God's design, however, ensures that breakthrough aligned with divine purpose produces lasting fruit. When you recognize that your shift carries responsibility to others, your mindset changes. Success is no longer measured solely by material gain or recognition, but by the difference it enables you to key in the lives of those around you. Divine shifts often create platforms for testimony. Your breakthrough becomes a living demonstration of God's faithfulness and power. Others see your journey, witness the manifestation of favor, and are encouraged to trust God for their own seasons of breakthrough. The impact of a single divinely orchestrated shift extends beyond immediate circumstances. It becomes a story that inspires, motivates, and strengthens faith in those who may be facing similar struggles. By embracing this principle, you ensure that your breakthrough multiplies in influence rather than being confined to personal benefit. The process of positioning for breakthrough also involves sensitivity and humility. God places people, circumstances, and opportunities around you strategically so that you can serve as a channel of blessing. Acting selfishly or arrogantly during this time can hinder the multiplication of favor. By remaining teachable, compassionate, and discerning, you ensure that the shift is used not only for your advancement, but also for the good of others. This stewardship is central to the divine purpose of breakthrough. Divine shifts also prepare you to handle the challenges that accompany influence. Increased blessing often brings increased responsibility, visibility, and scrutiny. If your heart is not prepared, the weight of the breakthrough can become overwhelming. God uses the unseen phase of the shift to build resilience, patience, and wisdom so that when the breakthrough manifests, you are capable of handling it with grace and effectiveness. This preparation ensures that your influence is positive and lasting rather than fleeting or self-serving. Another important aspect is that breakthroughs meant to bless others often require action and initiative on your part. It is not enough to receive. You must also give, serve, and lead. Divine favor positions you to meet the needs of others, but your obedience activates the multiplication of impact. Opportunities to help, encourage, or guide others may arise naturally as a result of the shift, and stepping into these opportunities aligns your breakthrough with God's larger purpose. Breakthrough as a conduit of blessing also transforms perspective. You begin to see life differently, measuring success by impact rather than accumulation, valuing relationships over recognition, and prioritizing service over selfish ambition. This mindset not only strengthens your character, but ensures that your influence multiplies. A breakthrough that blesses others becomes enduring, celebrated, and transformative both for you and those touched by your life. Ultimately, God's design is that your breakthrough serves a greater purpose than personal comfort or achievement. The divine shift that changes your circumstances is also creating an opportunity for you to change the trajectory of others' lives. Whether through mentorship, generosity, leadership, encouragement, or testimony, your breakthrough is intended to be a channel of blessing. When you embrace this principle, you understand that personal victory is inseparable from communal impact, and the manifestation of your shift becomes a powerful demonstration of God's faithfulness and purpose. In conclusion, the ultimate value of a breakthrough is realized not in what it does for you, but in what it enables you to do for others. Shifts are orchestrated to position you for influence, responsibility, and multiplication of favor. Those who understand this principle steward their breakthrough wisely, impact others positively, and ensure that their victory becomes a lasting testament to God's faithfulness. The divine shift is never just about your elevation. It is about the elevation of all those whom God places within your sphere of influence, transforming your personal success into a legacy of blessing, inspiration, and purpose.